Hi Facebook, Gary Weaving here, founder and CEO of Forgotten Veterans UK. God, I look rough today, please excuse me, I'm going to put my hat on, it makes me look a little bit younger. Right, I wanted to talk about what's come out in the papers today regarding the Justice for Northern Ireland demonstrations that have been going on in the last couple of weeks. As a lot of you will know, I have been involved. I've always been involved from the beginning. I may not be present much on the page or overly vocal through the charity, but I've always backed these guys and stood by their posts and allowed them to get their message across. I was honoured to be invited to talk on the Friday, and it was a tricky subject for me, not actually serving in Northern Ireland. And the truth is, I have been asked to be involved with stuff like this in the past, but because of certain groups wanting to get involved, I stood back. Some may say, why? Hi Angie, hi Nick. Some may say, is it my place as a CEO of National Veterans Charity to be getting involved in Justice for Northern Ireland and the politics that go behind it, right? Many know me, and those that don't will soon find out about me. I will stand by what I think is right, what is justified, and what is correct and moral. If it does upset a few of the high rankers and the political elite, so be it. Because we've had enough of people not having the balls to stand forward and say what they think, and that's the truth of it. I took part on Friday and I was blown away by what I saw. The professionalism of it, the respect, the dignity, the manners. I certainly did not see any right-wing, far-right parties there, and I certainly did not see any Nazi saluting thugs there. They were told to stay away. Tommy Robinson was not there. He was told to stay away. To be honest, I wasn't even aware that the UKIP leader was going to be speaking, and the reason being because he was invited at the last minute. And the truth is, all the political parties were invited to come and show their support, but all of them, despite how vocal they've been, including Johnny Mercer, declined our offer because their long weekend was probably more important than what we were doing. And the truth of it is, I know some people said it wasn't a popular decision to let UKIP speak, okay? And I can see why. But let's be honest, why is it okay to invite Labour, Conservative and Liberal Democrat, but not invite UKIP? And whatever you say about this party, at least the man had the minerals to come along and say his piece and stand by us, which is more than most did. I was disgusted. I saw Phil Champion, big respect to Phil Champion, right? But I was disgusted. I watched countless self-appointed community leaders and heads of organisations gobbing off continuously on how bad it is and how much of a witch hunt it is and stuff like that, right? But where were they? Was the fair too dear? Couldn't get the day off work? Well, it was a public holiday. It's all very well sitting on Facebook, keep trapping off to anyone that will listen. I support this, I support that, this is disgraceful. But you can't get off your backside and come and say your piece. You all had an opportunity to get involved. But the reality of it is your own agendas and your own train sets got in the way. So you're not out for all veterans because you would have been there. I was so proud with what I witnessed the other day. I really was. Steve Cook, hi. Peter Jubb. I was so proud with what I've witnessed. The behaviour, the conduct of all present was exemplary. Okay? And we did see one fella with a Britain First wristband on, and he was told to take it off, and he was told to keep his mouth shut. He was the only person that we came across that could have caused a problem. Did he? No, because he respects the fact it was the dignified and professional march. To read in the paper today, several papers, that Johnny Mercer, and I'm not afraid to use names, Johnny Mercer had stated over the weekend that he was not going to be involved with far-right organisations. Well, sorry, Johnny, I'd like to say, when has UKIP ever been labelled as far-right? When? And considering he was only asked on the Thursday night, and I didn't even know he was coming myself, and I was involved, how the hell did you know he was coming? You didn't. You saw the footage and you commented in the paper. And I'm really upset by your comments, Mr. Mercer, because at the end of the day, you used it to raise your own profile and have a dig at the Prime Minister. It read that it's all about you and sod the rest of us. Now, you've now upset thousands and thousands and thousands of veterans that now believe you have branded us all far right. Well, am I far right? Really? Am I? Because if I thought it was a far right demonstration, I would not have been involved. A, it's bad enough that there's been a blanket thrown over all coverage, and that is not acceptable. But B, to then excuse you not being there by labelling this far right is disgraceful. And you have done nothing but harm the party by saying that, Johnny Mercer. And I don't care what people think, it's the truth. I am not far right. None of the organisers are far right. And none of the veterans there were far right. There is not one picture, there's not one shred of evidence, there was not one incident. So how can you justify calling us far right? Far right, my backside. We're right. That's the problem. You know, you all had a chance to come along and show weight and show the public and the 17.2 million people that are fed up with what's going on that the Conservatives, the Labour, the Liberal Democrats will stand by this. We got shafted on Good Friday. We got told to forgive. We got told to forget. We let out of prison hundreds of mass murderers and gave them a free pardon. But now, 20 or 30 years later, our brothers and sisters, our older generation of veterans that have been through so much, through a hideous, long war, have now been stabbed in the back. And labelless far right has done more damage than you will ever know. You used it as propaganda to further your political objectives. and you've thrown us under the bus in the time being. It's disgraceful, and we're not going to put up with it. And all that's going to happen now is these veterans are going to up the ante, because if you're not going to cover them peacefully, they'll do it in other ways. And then everyone's going to say, oh, veterans are terrible, veterans are... We're not. We're the proudest, loyalist. We love our Queen, we love our country, and we love the people that live in it. And we've put our lives on the line again and again and again for the political objectives of this country. I'd like to see Tony Blair in court. Where's Tony Blair? He's the one that started this. He's the one that's caused these problems. And we are fed up of ambulance chasing fat cats trying to dig up the past for easy money. And the politicians and the seniors and the establishment of Great Britain are bending over and letting them do it to us, rather than rock the boat. Well, you wonder why there's no one serving. You wonder why I'm not letting my 18-year-old son sign up. Fourth generation soldier. I'm not letting him sign up because we are not being housed. We are not being given parental treatment in the NHS. We are not being given mental health care. We're being thrown to the wolves and being treated like second-class citizens. And we put the interests of others before ourselves. The families of the pub bombings were denied legal aid, but we're happy to give it to an ISIS bride that turned her back on this country and built IEDs to bomb our forces. And you wonder why the veterans are marching. You wonder why the public is marching. It is an absolute disgrace. And I will keep getting involved, because someone has got to have the balls to stand up and say, this is wrong and this is disgusting. And like ever, I will not put the charity and me before the veterans. I will stand up and I will say my piece, and I will keep saying it as long as I'm welcome. Johnny Mercer, you have done you've done damage today that which will last forever. You used our plight to further your gains, and in the meantime, you've insulted hundreds of thousands of us. If you want to see far right, that's what's going to end up happening, because they're the only people that are listening to us and standing by us. You watch what's going to happen now. Then now the veterans are going to be protesting at Media City, BBC. This is going to keep getting worse. This is going to keep getting bigger. And we are fed up with it. We stood by our oath and we stood by this country, and we were treated like second-class citizens in our own country, and we are sick of it. So thank you, Johnny Mercer. Thank you for making me feel like I'm some sort of wrong-un. Thank you for making hundreds of thousands of us out to be far right when it was nothing of the sort. And now, more and more veterans will refuse to vote Conservatives because of the knife in the back yet again. I'm going to leave it here because I am really annoyed and really angry. I'd like you all to share this. I want him to see this. I want it known that we will not back down, we will not shut up, we will not be lied about as an excuse to cover up what we're doing. We're British, we will always be. One day there's a civil war coming, and the country will sit back and go, why did we not stop this? You've had every opportunity. That's not a threat. I'm not making threats. I'm stating the facts. This is going to keep growing and it's going to keep getting worse. And we've got no one to blame but the elites, the politicians and the establishment. I'm Gary Weaving. I'm fed up of being used as a political pawn and being labelled whatever people fancy labelling me. I'm a decent, honest man that will go above and beyond for my brothers and sisters, and will keep going on above and beyond for our brothers and sisters, even if it does mean, you know, causing ourselves problems as a charity, because we're not in this for anyone else but the veterans. We will not fall in line and not have an opinion for easy money. It's a disgrace and it's got to stop. We're losing lives by the day, and no one's kept to one promise that they said. Tobias Elwood, you promised us that this would never happen again. You promised us that the coroner's report would be changed. And yet again, you've put your own interests first. Well, if you're not going to stand as a Minister for Veterans and fight our corner and stand there and do what we're paying you to do, then I suggest you step aside and we let an MP that will. We are people. We're not tanks to be put out of service and chopped up and forgotten about. We are people, and we will stand firm and we will stand together. Goodbye.